Hello and welcome to another episode of March to the Sea, the Vandals Let's Play campaign for Total War Attila. On the last episode of March to the Sea, the Vandal people were forced to abandon their settlement in Pannonia due to incursions in the neighboring territories by the Huns. Our migrating hordes began researching the technology to implement regional defense force tactics and constructing the necessary infrastructure for siege engines. Our faction heir was betrothed to the Alani princess Mata, and we made diplomatic inroads with the Saxons and Franks, acquiring defensive alliance and non-aggression pact from each of them respectively. We recruited our first agent, a double-agent spy named Friedeball, and the Children of the Forest, the horde under the command of Visimar, were denied entry to Euvavum by the Roman garrison and instead took the settlement by force, subsequently liberating the indigenous Illyrians who became our allies. A very strong Roman counterattack by Vettius Praetextatus and the Magister Militum himself, Flavius Stilicho, cornered Visimar and the Children of the Forest, but a daring cavalry maneuver ordered by Visimar isolated Vettius Praetextatus and threw the Roman forces into disarray. After pelting Flavius Stilicho's wavering army with arrows, the axes of our Germanic band units were able to smash the center of the Roman army, and we have now both figuratively and literally loosed the dogs of war on the Western Roman Empire. As we enter the fall of 395 AD, our Vandal military commanders have implemented regional defense force tactics, and will now focus on adapting the Roman logistics system for our own uses. Friedeball attempts to plant misinformation to hinder the Skullbreakers, the larger Alemanni army, in Urbersus. Unfortunately, his attempt is unsuccessful. Godegisil and the Oath drive Legio X back from Verunum, which opens the way for Visimar to sack the settlement.
We cannot. On our way. Laying siege to their hovels. Is that all?
Employing the same maneuver, Godegisil forces Legio I into the mountains. Without their reinforcements, Legio X is no match for the combined forces of Godegisil and Visimar, who descend upon them. The remainder of the Roman legion are killed or taken captive. The captives are ransomed to the Western Roman Empire for a large sum. Godegisil and Visimar improves their skills, each of them emulating favorable aspects of the wolf or raven. Visimar has also proven himself an adept infantry commander. The Children of the Forest have developed new traditions. Suitably, I choose guerrilla warfare and ruin of Rome. We set aside our differences with the Ostrogoths and agree to a non-aggression pact. Misfortune seems to be arriving with the cold winds of winter, and the Franks shred our non-aggression treaty and declare war on us. We are joined by our defensive allies. I can only assume that the Franks see us as a significant economic threat, as we are at war with both of their trade partners currently, the Allamans and the Western Roman Empire. Winter is now upon us, and both hordes encamp. The Oath just within the borders of the now undefended Augusta Vindelicorum, and the Children of the Forest within the Illyrian province of Euvavum.
You have further orders?
Godegisil ponders the diplomatic situation for some time, although the effort is completely non-productive. The Saxons are unwilling to declare war on the Franks even for financial compensation. Visimar reorganizes his force, merging some of the smaller units and training new ones. I'm mostly interested in replenishing the excellent axe-wielding Germanic band units that have proven so effective against the Roman armor. As word of our deeds against the Romans has spread, Increasing our Imperium level, Godegisil is approached by another man offering to serve as a skilled clandestine agent. Hethan previously helped the Romans with their constructions in the area, and his knowledge of fortifications and industrial constructions could prove very useful for military operations, sabotage, or perhaps for our own buildings once we have resettled our people. The snows of winter are beginning to thaw, and we receive a new short-term objective. Other nations are developing ways of increasing their military might. We should do the same lest we are left behind or swept away. Our objective is to research militarized society. I temporarily halt our research progress on Roman logistics system in order to redirect our efforts to implementing a militarized society. As Vizimar points out, that may hasten our military developments in the long run. In addition to Vizimar's 10% research bonus, if we achieve the mission for militarized society, that will give us a total bonus of 30% for military research. In retrospect, I'm not sure this change was worth the trouble, but it seemed like a good plan at the time. Godegisil has sought to have his son Genseric become a retainer to Vizimar. The appointment is accepted, and this will probably benefit Genseric greatly.
How can I help? To work then. The Lord guides my steps.
Friedebald heads north to scout Francia, while Hethan moves into Eberzus.
How can I help?
He manages to misdirect the Alaman force so they will not be interfering in our military actions in Augusta Vindelicorum.
Success, of course.
Godegisil moves in on Augusta Vindelicorum and begins constructing battering rams to bring down the gate of the walled settlement.
We take this.
Vizimar continues to replenish the depleted ranks of the Children of the Forest while in Illyrian borders.
Fighters.
As the weather turns warmer, Friedebald sends word that he's seen a large Frankish army moving south along the road toward Eberzus. This could be devastating if our enemies are able to unite against us. As we enter early 396 AD, Friedebald scouts southward and finds Alaman and Frank forces on the near and far banks of the Rhine, respectively. Hethan's identity as a Vandal spy is uncovered in Eberzus, and he hides outside the city. His future attempts to undermine the Alamanni forces there may be unsuccessful unless he finds other means. The loyalty of Godegisil's army, the Oath, begins to waver as they invest the enemy settlement. However, as soon as construction on the battering rams is complete, Godegisil orders an all-out attack and batters down the gates of Augusta Vindelicorum, sacking the settlement. Following an overwhelming victory, Godegisil asks his men to swear a blood oath to the wardens of the tribe. It is said that they actually came to be known as the Oath in this way. Given the proximity of our northern foes, Godegisil pulls back from Augusta Vindelicorum to encamp, and begins working on the next tier of industrial improvements that would in turn enable us to build onagers.
On the move, lads.
Now that the Children of the Forest have replenished sufficiently, I move them forward into Roman territory. Although our diplomatic efforts lately have been unfruitful, the Saxons agree to a military alliance. Additionally, the Huns agree to confine their destruction to the east, now that we've abandoned Pannonia. Although I suspect such a pact could be short-lived, and I believe that they would revoke it at any time, I take this as a sign that we have at least moved ourselves beyond the current trajectory of destruction. I also managed to secure a wife for Gunderic in the Quadian princess, Veneranda. Although only 18, Veneranda has much of the knowledge of a village wise woman, although Godegisil's wife, Gelswintha, is not fond of her pagan superstitions. Before I end the turn, Ingunthus is betrothed to Indolf, and I improve Friedebald's skills. During the intern phase, the Saxons asked me to fight against the Langobards, and although there is certainly no love lost between our factions, I simply cannot afford any more enemies right now. I would only consider this offer if the Saxons were willing to declare war on the Franks in return, which they will not. It's now the fall of 396 AD, and Ingunthus is to be married to Indolf, which will bring him into our family structure. Although Ingunthus confesses that she does not love Indolf, Godegisil decrees the marriage as necessary to the integrity of the tribe. For whatever reason, the Allamans have moved west of their settlement. Friedebald and Heathen do their utmost to disrupt the movements of our enemies.
Put that there.
They both continue to improve their skills, learning the basics of tracking and military infiltration. We finally have the technology and horde infrastructure to construct onagers, so Godegisil commissions the construction of 2, one each for the Oath and the Children of the Forest. Meanwhile, Visimar takes up the siege of the intransigent Romans at Augusta Vindelicorum.
Besieging settlement.
As we move into the winter of 396, our Alani brethren request our assistance in the war against the Eastern Roman Empire. Although I'm grateful for their assistance against the Franks, I feel that we have enough wars currently without starting another. Ask for a sum of money I know they'll be unwilling to part with. Although far away, the Eastern Roman Empire's reach may be long. The next turn, we've completed the militarized society technology, earning the martial ambition bonus, and we can now go back to researching the Roman logistics system.
As well as putting your troops to good use.
Visimar again sacks Augusta Vindelicorum, and the Children of the Forest move to the outskirts of Aberzus.
Ready for getting on our way. Ready for further.
Godegisil and the Oath transfer a unit of onagers to the Children of the Forest, and he then moves back over the province border to encamp, avoiding any inter-horde rivalry penalty we would otherwise incur. Now both Godegisil and I are becoming worried and choleric concerning the situation developing in Aberzus along the Rhine River. This is starting to look like a very dangerous crossing into Gaul for the Vandals. The Franks fortify their position on the western bank of the Rhine. Whether by expert misdirection by our Vandal spies or by divine providence, the Alemanni force moves west outside the walls of Aberzus, leaving the settlement itself undefended. As we resume our turn, we've completed research on the Roman logistics system and can upgrade our Germanic band units to Germanic warband for improved health and armor. With the settlement of Aberzus undefended and, thanks to our newly constructed onagers, the ability to initiate an assault against a walled settlement without having to build siege engines, Visimar is able to breach the walls and enter the city, subjugating the populace. With his city in ruins and his people hostage, the Alemanni king is forced to swear fealty to the Vandals. The Children of the Forest and the Oath are now free to encamp in the province of Aberzus without fear of immediate reprisal.
Further orders.
Godegisil and the Oath construct more communal grounds to provide shelter to the growing horde. In the summer of AD 397, the Council of Carthage meets to agree upon Christian canon. Although this has little effect on our migrating faction, Perhaps we Vandals may convene our own Council of Carthage one day to establish the folly of the Nicene Christians. We've encountered a faction of Western Roman separatists this turn, and they're not only willing to enter into a military alliance with us, but they're also willing to pay to do so. As we share the Western Roman Empire as a mutual enemy, this is a very beneficial arrangement for the Vandals. Godegisil moves into the province of Argentoridum, and Visimar supports him from just on the other side of the Alemanni border.
Ready for orders.
Although I initially started to research defined military obligation which would upgrade our spear units, I decided to switch over to research civil technologies this turn, not only so we can take advantage of the monetary incentive provided by the chapter objectives for researching labor service by 400 AD, but also so we can continue improving our hordes and have the technology available for rapidly improving our infrastructure when we do settle. We're now in the fall of 397 AD, and Gelswintha manages to solidify Godegisil's support within the tribe, giving us some additional control. Right now, our power level is at respectable, which essentially has no penalty for us, the only penalty being a public order -1, which does not apply to a horde. The Franks have begun to retreat north, back toward Frisia. Hethen hinders their progress, but I'm no longer greatly concerned by their presence. I upgrade all of Godegisil's Germanic band units to Germanic warband. The Oath, encountering only a Roman garrison, sack the settlement of Argentoridum and liberate the native Gauls, who join us as another ally. The Oath then move to the northwestern edge of Argentotorum, where they encamp, while the Children of the Forest remain in Uberzus. Hethen and Fredibal are now more adept and sinister agents, as they can now carry out assassinations on enemy characters should the need arise. As we move into the winter of 397, the small Roman force at Augusta Vindelicorum falls back and fortifies at the western border, apparently having given up for now on retaking the settlement. However, they are pursued by a large Illyrian army that drives them further west. Godegisil's choleric personality rears its ugly head as he throws his son Gunderic out of a war council meeting for questioning his authority. It seems he'll not be able to serve as his father's retainer for the time being. We've now mastered the community property technology and can finally pursue labor service, which will be beneficial for our coffers on several levels. We'll get a 5% bonus for our agricultural buildings. We can build the Bone Carver, which provides significant income, and will also earn the chapter objective for a one-time monetary reward. We're now moving our hordes well into Gaul, and the Oath ransack Bisancio and then encamp along the outskirts of this territory, adjacent to the Children of the Forest, who remain in the Gallic-held Argentoridum. Now that we've safely crossed the Rhine, the Vandals' situation is looking much better, although many dangers lay ahead. The Western Roman Empire is not likely to have forgotten the destruction that we've left in our wake, and we still have yet to lay the cornerstone of our empire in Iberia. Next time, we'll burn a path through Gaul to the Promised Land. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and join me again next time as we continue our march to the sea.